What's the plan?
Destiny.
GSTL.
Don't get in my way now.
Welcome back to the GSTL. The final boss has come into work early today.
Yeah, not so final today. And while we're waiting for the match to start, I want to give a quick shout out to all the guys in the Team Liquid thread they're watching live right now, and also to the people on Twitter who sent me the name of the movie I was talking about. I could for the life of it not remember it. It was Enemy at the Gates. It's a World War II movie that's actually based on a true story. And if you have not watched the movie, definitely check it out. It is amazing. It is really, really good. When I watched it, I don't even know why. I think a friend recommended it to me and I never heard of it before. But it was great. It's really amazing. Yeah. Of course, there's really also another sniper movie out there with Shooter, with Mark Wahlberg. But that's a little bit more of an action movie. It's not as good. If you want to enjoy 2 hours and you don't want to think too much and have a little bit of popcorn at hand, it's still a good one. But it cannot hold a candle to Enemy at the Gates. No way.
By the way, map choice is Abyssal City. And that is a map for us players are not too happy about right now.
Yes, for good reason.
So a good map choice by Dongrygu, really playing to that weakness of the Process right now. I'm not even sure what type of build we're going to see from Parting on this side of map. It's going to be a lot tougher for him to play a build like we saw last game on this map in particular, but also even getting a third base is so much harder. He no longer has that map advantage over his opponent, and I'm really excited to see how he's going to respond. What type of build is he going to pick?
And I want to see how good DRG is now these days. Ever since he lost not only in Code S last season, but also just dropped the ball when they were about to advance in the Team League. I always feel like, yes, he's still strong. He is still able to play his games, but he doesn't seem as invincible anymore. Yeah. So I want to see if we have now once again the final boss here, or how he's going to perform against Parting. The game is about to start. It is the GSTL with StarTale against MVP. The games are brought to you by Alan Wolf. Starting to the right side of the map, we have the StarTale Protoss. He was able to take down one Zerg player. Can he do it again? He is.
StarTale Parting!
StarTale Parting. This time.
I just feel like his real idea is farting sometimes. Sorry, you probably had something much more important to say than that.
Not really. No. To the right side, left side, we have the other right. We have his opponent in blue for MVP. It's the final boss, as Wolf already said. He came to work early today. He is
MVP Dongrygu.
Naming himself after the city, well, neighborhood, I guess you could say, that he's from. You can see he's a Blizzard Cup runner-up and Code S champion of GSL Season 1 2012, very first tournament this year.
With the performance that we had by Parting in the recent online leagues that he performed in and everything, I actually feel that it's going to be tough. And look, another shout-out to Team Liquid.
Yeah.
So, yeah, once again, all the guys that are currently watching live from Team Liquid or from whatever community website you tuned in, we welcome to the stream. It's really awesome to see that you wake up or stay, or wake up early, whatever, stay up late, I don't know, to watch the GSL live, the GSTL, but I guess it's certainly worth it. With the games that we've seen today so far, it's already a great team match, and now we have Parting against DRG. This is like, whoa.
Yeah. Whoa, indeed, man. You know, we could talk about a lot of different things about why Dongrygu might have been picked here. He seems to be, right now, you know, he seems to have gotten over it a little bit since he's doing so well in the OSL. He's not in the slump, I wouldn't say that, but he seems to be kind of bending under pressure sometimes. When he gets put in high, tense pressure situations, like wanting to go to Busan with his team, or being in that tough group situation, sometimes he gets stressed out and doesn't play his best. You send him out here earlier, there's not as much burden, like, oh, you're the last hope, Dongrygu, you know, if you lose here, it's all over.
Yeah.
It's putting him out earlier, there's less pressure on him, in a way, that may be one reason why. But also, Parting is a really tough opponent, you don't want him to get that momentum either.
And DRG, of course, prepared against Protoss. He prepared for us, and he had no problems in the best of 5 against the Fnatic player. So he is really in good spirits when it comes down to the PvZ matchup. On the other hand, one of the players that we haven't seen so far today for Team MVP, who usually comes out a little bit faster, is Keen. Because I'm currently thinking about who's going to be the last player. It might be the Terran. We'll find out, or we might find out, depending on how DRG is going to perform today.
I think it could be Tails or Finale as well, though. Either one of those processes, I think that the MVP coach would feel comfortable with telling them to come out last.
Finale to be the final player, I don't know if my buddy is ready for this, Wolf. There would be too many puns.
Yeah, I think you're right. Look at this timing of the probe to go and check for the third. It's actually really quite nice.
You know, you talked a little bit about the map when it was picked, and Abyssal City definitely is one of the maps that Protoss player is not too confident when it comes down to this matchup. The reason being is just that muralists on this map are just so strong, and it is so difficult to take and defend this third base for a Protoss player.
It's really tough. And the third base, you can see, even just by looking at the Zerg player's third that we just had a shot of, you can see it's kind of far away. There's multiple entrances to the base. You don't really have a wall that you can set up easily there. And don't get me started on that fourth base, because that one is so far away. It's up to the north. There's no ramps. There's no choke points. It's just like, might as well put that base in a bunch of Zerglings to begin with. I don't want to say this map is bad, but it's just the way that you have to play this map is if you want to go late game, you better make a lot of cannons. You definitely want to put some pressure on and get an early lead before you take that fourth. You don't want to just hope that you can riskily take it, because that's not going to happen.
Protoss players in general just have nightmares about PvZs on this map. Seed was talking to me when he played some of his Codes matches, and he was like, oh, I hate this map so bad. I hate it against Terran, I hate it against Zerg, I hate it against every race. But right now we have StarTale, the StarTale and the MVP player just playing really laid down early game. So not too much aggression. We have 4 parting. The robotics coming up. He also says +1 attack upgrade. We could see a push here on 2 base, I actually think, because of the situation that we have with the third base. It's likely that he's trying to hit a 2 base timing. And this is, of course, what DRG is going to prepare for.
Yeah, you know, you have a map like this. Dongrigu has got to be thinking, all right, Parting's got 2 choices. He can either take a risk at the third, or he can fight me. Taking a risk like that is not going to be it's not going to be optimal. So he can prepare to fight that type of situation and use that advantage, or he can use the advantage of that he knows it's tough to take that, so he can just prepare really well and just not cut any corners. And if he does, you know, either of these things, it's going to be a tough map for Parting. It's just Dongrigu is in the absolute best position possible, just having this map in his hands.
The thing about this map is if you try to execute an immortal push, which is exactly what Parting does here, you want to walk up to the natural expansion. You don't want to hit the third, you want to hit the natural. And as soon as you're on the high ground, you have a couple of really good spots where you can place on your force fields. You can shield your army against the units that come from the third base, and if you're able to push in a little bit further, you can control the ramp that leads into the main. The big problem is that most Zerg players will actually use spine crawlers here, and the high ground advantage that they then have with the vision in order to make sure that the Protoss is just not getting into this position.
You know, another thing to note is that Dongrigu was denied scouting in the main very aggressively by Stalkers, but there's no way to deny the Overlord that's at the third base location. It's up on a plateau, it's far back there, but he sees no Nexus. It just looks very clear to Dongrigu. He's already started roaches. He knows what is coming. He's already prepared for this. He's like, all right, I picked this map. You're not going to play a late game here because you can't, and I already know that you're going to do the same timing attack that you did last game, but this is a completely different map. This is the map I chose. It's in Dongrigu's territory now.
There are no spine crawlers on the high ground. I guess that now... Oh, is he actually aiming for the third? I was really expecting him to hit natural.
Yeah,
this is what we've seen most times when this push was executed here.
It's so much easier to cut them off at the natural as well. He's got the pylon up again. Here we go. The pylon's on the high ground. Remember, this is so critical because he can use the warp prism to lift his units.
One failed field in the middle.
Yeah.
That didn't accomplish anything at all. But those guys are a little bit better, trapping a few roaches.
Dongrigu being very careful to not overextend himself, just trying to bait out those force fields. Did lose a few roaches, but man, with a pylon and a warp prism, this is the worst possible scenario for Dongrigu, even though it's his map.
DRG has to be a bit careful. He's playing those spine crawlers because he's trying to buy time for the rest of his roaches to pop out. The spine crawler is ready, has a very short life, dies immediately. The queen is also dead.
Dongrigu wants to buy time, but it's just not going to be given to him. He doesn't want to fight without roach speed, but he may have to here. His roach speed just finished. The hatchery could actually just be taken out with like 2 volleys.
The supply advantage still for DRG, but most of the Roaches that try to face this army so far just splatter blood on the ground, and the third phase took a couple of hits by now. So this is looking a bit ugly.
Yeah.
DRG has to be really careful here.
Dongrigu is in an emergency situation right now. He's got 8 more Roaches popping out, but the ones that are coming out of this hatchery are just going to spawn and die. The army is camping the hatchery. Look at all those low hit point stalkers. They just won't quite die.
The drones are moving in as well, and so far Parting doing a great job here with his force fields. He still has energy on the sentries for a few more. Is he able to trap all of those Roaches and take them down? The immortal count is still at 2.
He has not even touched the immortals. That's one of the biggest problems here. Another forward pylon goes down. Nice pickup on the sentries. He's got to keep those alive. The hatchery will fall here, and I think Dongrigu will as well. Look at the supply.
Wolf better call an ambulance because DRG needs it. GG!
Harding has taken out the final boss, and we are going to have to see what MVP's next plan is. And that's a brutal feeling. You go in there on your map choice, you come out early, you're a prestigious player, everybody knows you're doing so well in the OSL, and then you sit in that booth on your map and you lose, and now...
You got to be kidding me! DRG is finally knew what was coming here. Look at that!
Wow.
He knocks at the booth, he's like, oh, I can't believe that just happened.
Well, Harding, he took him down, no problem. There's Soshin actually, he did appear.
Yep. That was a smackdown. This was just immortal push all the way.
He's like, I don't care what map we play on. He's like, I would have done it on Atlanta's spaceship. I would have done it on Tal'Darim Altar. Steps of War, I would have cannon rushed you, but Dongrigu not actually looking too shaken. You know, he's looked more emotional in the past. I think he's kind of in shock right now that he was not able to defend such a push he even predicted.
That was just a really, that was a bit of a, it was a bit played a little bit differently by Party, but in the end it was just so well executed. The patience that he had at the space, he never started to target down immediately, just camped it, cooked down every single roach that was built. And DRG was just out of options. He never could really get this flank that he wanted. And as you already said, the Immortals were not touched by the army. The sentries, he didn't take down a single one of them. There was no tech that could help him. We didn't end up in a scenario where finally the Infestors pop out and suddenly things change completely, as Fungals are also part of the game. So
well, another thing to note is this is actually something that I don't think enough people talk about or focus on is when you get ahead in the fight, you know, as happens to start to snowball, right? Some people, and you start to run out of sentry energy. Some people will say, well, I'm running out of sentry energy, I'm warping more sentries. Some people say, no, I'm going to get more stalkers, so I want to like keep my army really strong and then protect my sentries with the warp prism. And that's where the forward pylon comes in. You keep the forward pylon, you no longer have to warp your units into potential roach fire. You have the choice to warp them in, then come in fresh. He has the ability to pick up his sentries, keep them alive. So rather than warping additional sentries, he kept his sentries alive with the warp prism and made more stalkers. Really nice control in that fight.
And now Parting, taking down 2 Zerg players is, I feel, what do you think is coming out now? Keen?
I think it might be a Protoss. I think it might be time for PvP against this guy. I think they might send out Finale or Tails. Could even be Vampire, to be honest. It could be Vampire.
It could definitely be a Protoss, you're right about that. I'm pretty sure that we don't see the last Zerg though.
Yeah, I don't think so. And it's going to be Tails.
Yeah, Tails has shown in the past that he has a good PvP.
Yeah, I think Tails is a great choice here. A revolutionizer of PvP.
And Parting is not impressed.
Yeah, he's holding his water bottle like it's a club. Like he's about to go beat him up or something.
He's like, okay.
Well, you can see the studio actually here is packed today. There's so many fans, not only in the main room, but also in the, like, it's going out the door basically. Let's just put it one way.
Yeah, outside there's one TV set up and there are a lot of chairs already in front of it because there's just no room in the studio anymore.
It's like, this is like the first round of GSTL, but it looks like it's like the semifinals or something here in the studio. It is packed, it is crazy.
Tails is setting his stuff up. He is admired by a lot of people for his creativity, for his builds.
Naniwa in particular, you know, really talks about it quite often.
But sometimes his execution is not as well as it could be and it costs him the game.
Absolutely. Sometimes he has games where, you know, he just doesn't hit his pylons. I don't know if he's stressing. I don't know if he's focusing on something else, but I've seen a lot of times, you know, just mechanically, he makes a lot of mistakes that lead to his downfall, even after having an advantage in the game they played. His win rate in GSTL is below 1.0, so you can see he's failed more than he has succeeded, but he's a great wild card to throw in here. He's innovative, he's clever, he's creative. And PvP against someone who's already taken out 2 Zergs, I think it's pretty smart.
The thing is, though, he is... Well, there's one player left if he fails. And there is, of course, the possibility that we don't see Keen today, that we see another Protoss player. But right now, I have to say that there is so much pressure on Tails. It is crazy.
Yeah, because he puts...
If he loses here, it's 4-1.
Exactly, and you know, if it's all about parting, if he loses, it's all about parting, right? So you have to figure out, okay, I still have to be parting and a bunch of other people, but if he wins and then he loses at the next game, it's like, okay, well now we have more options. We've taken out one more player. We've got a few more different options to pick from. Right now they're probably thinking, well, if he loses, we've only got one choice, basically.
Yeah, think about who's sitting on the StarTale bench. We still have Squirtle. There is Life. We have Curious, so you have basically so many people that you can choose from.
Hack.
Also, yeah, exactly, the Terran
Even
players.
Suoshin could come out and do an all-in snipe somebody.
It's just, Suoshin, for example, we talk a lot about his all-ins and that he has sometimes really creative strategies where he tries to go for some kind of a little bit of weird build where he tries to capitalize on the momentum of surprise. But the thing is, if you train him to be a sniper for a certain player, I think this is a role that he fits like perfectly, especially now that he's suddenly out of Code A, because he doesn't have to prepare for any individual leagues this much, and he has only limited time at his hand. So if you prepare him for a specific player, you tell him, okay, this is your opponent, if this guy comes out, it is your job to take him down. I feel he can definitely come up with a strategy and can beat basically anyone in the best of 1.
If he's got the plan, he will execute it.
He defeated Seed in a completely stand-up macro game on one of the maps, so it's definitely a game that he can play really well if he's able to prepare for an opponent.
He's always a great, it's always good to have a danger card on your team. That's why I actually called Hongan the Sith Lord Protoss when he was on Prime, because he always like sat on the bench with his hood up in the back, and he always did all-ins. But I mean, when you have a player like that, it's scary when he comes out. You know he might all-in you, but he might not. And that puts fear into the heart of your opponent.
It's just this lineup, then the depth that StarTale has right now, and after they merged with Zenex, you have so many options. So whatever MVP does at this point in time, there are options to counter them. And with the maps that we currently have left, there's also a great variety. You have still Cloud Kingdom and Daybreak. I'm not quite sure what the next map is going to be. I don't think we'll know.
It's Grand Lagoon.
It's Grand Lagoon. So Grand Lagoon, this leaves Antigua, Whirlwind, Cloud Kingdom, and Daybreak. So you have those big maps like Whirlwind. You still have the smaller ones. You have Cloud Kingdom and Daybreak, of course. And therefore, you have a lot of options. So if Tails loses right now, I think it's going to be impossible for whoever comes out to win this with all this diversity that we still have left.
It certainly seems so. It would be a miracle if that actually happens.
If that happens, it would be TSL against LGIM all over again.
Yeah. That would be true. Think about the maps we've got left now as well. We've got Antigua, Daybreak, Cloud Kingdom, Whirlwind. All these maps. This is a map chosen by Tails, which means that I feel, because it's Protoss versus Protoss, he doesn't have a specific strategy for this map. He's just kind of chosen it so that there's more options available. You know, it's an older maps are more available now, whereas this map is a little bit less figured out, but it's PvP, so it doesn't matter as much because the game might just come down to Colossi Micro at the end of the day, anyways. Whereas on Daybreak, for example, there's little subtleties on Cloud King. There's little subtleties he may want to use, or the team may want to use that with a different player later. So I really like this map choice because this is kind of like, well, PvP map doesn't matter that much. There are some specific maps for PvP, but in this case, it's just kind of like, okay, new map. I'm gonna just play my PvP here, which leads me to believe that he's going to go for a late game strategy. He wants to go for that type of Colossi play and just kind of expand.
I think he had a few problems with his computer, or just with the settings in general, for some reason. I don't know exactly why, because as far as I know, he already set up his gear earlier, but he just joined the lobby, was a little bit delayed. He actually has chosen Zerk as a race. Now there's the switch. That would have been a little bit weird. So, yeah, we have the PvP coming up, and the map, as Wolf pointed out, is Grand Lagoon. StarTale has said that they have a lot of pressure, or they feel pressure, because everyone is expecting a lot of them this season. So far, they have delivered, but they haven't won the war yet.
No, not yet.
They want to have a few battles.
They are looking like they have the advantage. They got a lot of territory here. We're going to see some crazy strategies maybe from Tails, though.
Here we go. Here we have both of them to the left. Parting, taking down two Zergs. Tails with the pressure in the PvP now.
What are you thinking? Are you thinking we're going to see Tails do an aggressive play or a defensive one? I'm feeling like he's going to play defensive and just try to play that late game style on this map.
Pennant rush, go. I actually don't know. With Tails, I always feel like one of his strengths is to play heavy all-in that is relying on a well-executed build. That is where I feel he has a lot of his strength, but Tails can also play late game. It's just really hard to predict him. And I have no idea what he's doing. I'm completely honest with you, I have no clue. But we are going to find out. The Protoss versus Protoss is going to start in a few seconds. We're at the GSTL StarTale against MVP.